Did I not press it?
There it
There we
is.
go.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, welcome to episode 51 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. That's right, 51 episodes, dude. It's crazy.
Yes.
Tonight's a great show. We are really excited about what is going to happen tonight. We've got event updates like who sold out in less than a minute, which events have upcoming registration, which events have open registration. We have people's preferences on diapers or belly pans. So we're going to give you kind of a rundown of that. And then we talked to the man himself, the Drag and Drive World Champion. We talked to Mr. Bryant Goldstone about what he has planned for his I don't know, backup championship run here. So we're going to go over a little bit of that as well. And then we have two awesome guests on tonight. We have Jared Holt of King of the Open Road, who is also, just an all around great dude. So he's coming on for a little bit. He's going to be on first. And then we have Leonard of Race Rebuild Repeat. He's on to talk about like his first experience with Drag and Drive, with Sick Week 2024, and then also we're going to talk about maybe a record that he holds in the truck they brought, but just mainly because I haven't found anybody else that's gone faster than him with that. So it's going to be kind of fun. So, guys, if you don't know, my name is Mike Narks. I'm the host of the Drag Driver Pete Show and the Drag Driver Pete News, which happens on Saturday mornings. So, this episode is more of 2 hours. We're going to have guests on. We're going to talk kind of in depth stuff. And then on Saturday morning, it's literally a hard hitting, just we load as much information into that hour as humanly possible, all surrounding the Drag and Drive community, which is something that we love. Have a ton of events coming up. I'm also an announcer with Heads Up Hustle, so I can add that to my resume for this year as well. So, Drag and Drive statistician, announcer, and promoter, because we're going to talk about the circuit stuff here in a little bit as well. Eric, tell them who you are and what you got going on, dude.
Well, don't forget when you're at events, you also are a photographer and videographer too. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I am Eric White. I am the co-host for both the show and the news on Saturday mornings. I help out with a lot of artwork here with Drag Driver Pete, a lot of photo editing, and really whatever needs to be done, I'm here to help
Hmm.
get that done. Outside of that, I do run my own YouTube channel and social media, which is 815 LSX Swaps.
Yep, dude, you're a busy guy, and I appreciate everything you've done. And guys, we appreciate everything you do. All the folks that are out there. Um, we have, you know, we've been calling you guys race car friends for well over 2 years, and I think it fits because there's nothing cooler than seeing your friends when you're driving around and it's so much fun. And so I saw some race car friends as I was driving around on the route for the circuit the other day. And guys, we couldn't do the circuit without sponsors. Summit Racing is part of the Drag Driver Pete brand and the circuit as well. Driven Racing Oil just came on board. Molly Motorsports in their second year coming on here. We appreciate those guys. Car Change is a new one for 2024. Howard's Cams is back for 2024 for another year. Performa Built Transmissions is a new one for 2024. Do you hear this stuff, man? We're growing. We're growing. Sweet Patina is back. They were our first sponsor. We want to say thank you to them so much for making a lot of this possible. I mean, it really comes down to Blake and the team down there. And then Racing Junk Classifieds. Look, we don't run a buy, sell, trade page because it's too much brain damage. So we let Racing Junk Classifieds handle all of that. So we just want to say thank you to everybody that is a part of all of us growing. It's too much fun. And Summit Racing, I don't know if you know this, but dude, they started. It's like Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968, almost 60 years ago.
Yeah.
One man operation. That was
Woo.
how it started. It was crazy. Now it's the World Speed Shop, four huge facilities, warehouse and retail stores, 200 plus catalog editions. Can you imagine putting that together? Like you got to figure out what people want to look at in a catalog. It's easy with the internet. Fueling your passion, they save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service. 10 years ago, they launched a Summit Racing mobile app, easy access for parts. I mean, that's probably the best way I shop. And then you can find Summit Racing obviously on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Our buddy Justin over there does all the hard work on all their social media videos and stuff. And then you can tune into the On All Cylinders podcast if you like this kind of stuff right here, but from wider genres of the automotive community. They have all kinds of cool stuff on that podcast as well. So, from humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. I feel like I've just blown through a lot of information there. 4 minutes into, we got to get to work. All right, Let's talk about event updates brought to you by our friends at Driven Racing Oil. Open registration currently. Drop the hammer. They have registration open. I messaged Carl last week, asked him how registration was going. He's like, "We want racers." I don't know what that meant, but I know what it meant. He wants racers. That means they're not sold out yet. So, guys, if you want to get involved, get the car out of the garage early in the season for the folks that are in Michigan. This is a great one right here. Drop the hammer. Open right now. Find it on Facebook. We have Central Victorian Drag and Drive. We were talking to Dave Curtis earlier. I was messaging back and forth with Dave Curtis earlier. Um, this event, obviously in Australia, so it's a little harder for us uh, Americans to get our stuff shipped over there, but I'm sure they would let somebody ride. But listen, they're wanting folks, and they're also running like a Saturday shootout deal, so they're letting folks jump in on Saturday as well. So that's kind of exciting for all of that they've got going on. This is one of 7 events in Australia for this year. And
which is
then
wild.
crazy. And then, dude, we're like a month from the Hard S 1000 for the Hall S Garage. I
Yep.
forgot to add that in here. It's wild, man. There's a lot happening in Australia. So it's like the US and then Australia is second with 7. It's pretty intense. That is for sure. Now, registration updates because we have some stuff that's coming. So these are events that are up and coming, or not, sorry, registration that is up and coming for events. Oh, Rocky Mountain Race Week. Dude, did you hear how fast it sold out?
It was fast.
Like 1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. Here's what's really cool about the Rocky Mountain Race Week setup. If you attended in 2023 for 1.0, this is for 1.0 registration. If you attended in 2023, you get a day early registration for 2024's event. What's even cooler about that is that there were only 60 spots available to the public for the 2024 event. So if you start doing the math on that, that means there's a lot of folks that are returning. So when everybody says it's like a family reunion going back to Rocky Mountain, that's what it is,
Yeah.
because they're entering their 10th running. This is the 10th year for that event to be held. This is going to be a great time. I'm telling you right now that if you are anywhere near Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Ennis, Texas, Mocan Dragway, or back to Tulsa, you got to go to one of these days. It's going to be a blast.
We got
And
uh we got Howie in here saying that he's ready to use that sweet patina that he ordered now that his junk's back on the road.
that's exactly right. Yeah, he sent me a video a few minutes ago of it running. Says now we have a hot rod, man. Well, and if y'all don't know, I love Howie's car.
Yeah.
It's
So
like an entire family wagon. It's one of the coolest rigs out there.
yep.
Hot
So
rod.
we
Go ahead.
love when our race car friends are also supporting our sponsors. So we appreciate that for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And guys, are you seeing this right here? Are you looking at it? For the folks listening on the podcast, jump over to the YouTube channel. Registration February 24th, 9 a.m. for Hot Rod Drag Week 2024. Dude.
That's coming up quick.
Yeah, and do you see that that's Jeff Oppenheim's car?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I'm real excited for Drag Week.
Yes, you and I are both attending Drag Week, and it's going to be a great time. 20th running of Drag Week. I know
Yep.
that is going to mean a lot for a lot of people, and I hope it means that there's a lot of folks that are going to come that haven't been in a long time. I know Cal Hayward is working hard on his car. I'm hoping that is his target goal. He's kind of said that in some messages, that was his goal, but putting together a 3,500 horsepower car, pretty tough. So you gotta really gotta work that out as you can get there. But this is exciting. So February 24th, 9 a.m. And then right after that sells out at 10:30 a.m. on February 24th. Heads Up Hustle is going to kick off.
Yep.
Right? You see your boy right there in the picture. That means I'm announcing it. That one. That's
I
that's
know.
where I'm going to be. Yeah.
I see that microphone in your hand, boy.
Yep. So early list registration actually opens on Friday at 6:30 Eastern. So if you are a early lister, you need to be ready, because I'm hoping that Heads Up Hustle does kind of like what the circuit does, and most of it fills up before it's even offered to the public. So I know this is an event that's going to be a blast, not just because I'm there, but because it is their second time to host it. And all the stuff you learned doing it your first time, you're going to make up for in your second time. It's going to be really a whole lot of fun. So, if you didn't know, Heads Up Hustle put up a free entry to the quickest eighth mile racer at the circuit. So, a lot of regional events working together now to kind of help grow the regional side of the drag and drive sport, which is awesome. And then let's see, what else do I have here? I have that there are racers signed up for the early list. Half of those racers are returning racers that are signed up to get in early.
Yeah,
So I'm telling you, that's a great way to do it. Again, keeps that family feel coming back each year, which is always a great thing. And then on the last day, Hidden Motorsports, our buddy Carl Balzer with the Klaus the Barbarian, the current champion of Heads
perfect.
Up Hustle, all out fastest stick shift. All, he just mopped the floor with the entire field. I see perfect timing.
Yep.
Perfect timing. Hidden Motorsports on YouTube. If you're not following them, you need to for sure because there are people. 100% there are people. So they're coming back, but also Saturday afternoon, they're hosting an event called No Half Sins. And if you haven't seen this, it's drifting, it's burnout competition, like Aussie style burnout competition. It's a car show and then a 16 car street car shootout that the racers of the Heads Up Hustle get in for half price.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm really I'm glad that I'm going to be on site for this because that just means that you're just going to have that much more car stuff. Because Drag and Drive, while it brings out many spectators, when you start talking about Aussie style burnouts and drifting and a car show, there's going to be a ton of folks that are going to be there. So ought to make for really good content for everybody that's at home. Um, and then not not able to make it with us, but we'll definitely be there entertaining you for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I might have to see if I can squeeze this one in to my schedule as well.
Yeah, it's not far from you,
Mhm.
Michigan, Milan,
No.
and Mid America, or not Mid America, Mid Michigan,
Yeah,
Motorplex. So it'd be
yeah, it's
perfect. And
not
then,
too far.
yeah, Hidden Motorsports here is saying he hears Race Rebuild Repeat might be going to Heads Up Hustle and then No Half Sins event? Question mark. So we'll talk to Nick about that in just a little bit as he jumps on right about the 9 o'clock hour. So all right, we got to move on here. Yeah. Oh, he says, I don't see why not. That's right up in his wheelhouse there. Bring it on, man. Let's go. All right. Let's talk oil containment. We're going to stay on the driven racing oils segment here for a second. We asked the other day in the Drag Drive Repeat Race Car Friends Facebook group, who runs what? And we got 13 different replies. Like there were like 30 something different comments on the post, but 13 different replies. An oil pan definitely the choice for everyone in drag and drive, at least. I don't know about everybody else, but in drag and drive, no, definitely did it because it was 11 of the selections out of 13.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty intense. So I kind of went through and grabbed some comments from folks. Alex Corella, we know him in the red notch back Fox body. He said he went with a belly pan, couldn't see a way that a diaper would work without getting burned up because of the hot side on his car. Makes sense.
Hmm.
He said when he was testing on 235s last year, he had one of his oil drain bolts come loose and the belly pan caught it.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah. So he said did a pass with the oil on the pan and it kept it off the track. So makes sense.
Nice.
The the diaper would have also caught a bolt, but who knows if you'd have ever seen it, right? And then John Dodson said he chooses a pan. He chose it to keep the oil temps down on the drives, and then it's lined with pig mats as well. And another comment in that post was that they then also put what do you call that metal? Like expanded metal? It's kind of wavy and welded together. They said they put expanded metal on top of the pig mats to kind of keep it down on the bottom so it doesn't blow away.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. We
and
got
then
a team hybrid racing here, which is Jeremy. He says pan there as well. So
yep, yep. There was somebody else that was saying they were extending their. I think it was Andrew Heiston said that he was going to extend his pan up a little further, or maybe it was John Paul Franks. Said he was going to extend the sides up more so it would hold more volume of oil. So it makes sense. And then Rich Woodward of Racecraft Garage says he chooses a diaper over a pan any day of the week, and then kind of went in to explain why it was better and I mean, he's put a rod through a pan, a rod through an oil pan, not
Yep.
through a belly pan, but a rod through an oil pan. So I feel like he's probably a guy that kind of knows that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
Then we got Dan Chandler here saying nice pick.
yeah, hey, listen, when you do a huge gnarly burnout, man, we it's sad that this was the end of that burnout. But listen, Dan did probably one of the best burnouts I've ever seen at the Back to the Streets No Prep Drag and Drive that we went to earlier in 2023. It was, man, it was amazing. Got all of it on camera, and then sadly, yes, this is what happened. His something blocked the oil and the an oil galley, and the pressure built and blew the oil filter, what do you call it, gasket out, and just covered everything. So luckily his engine wasn't damaged or anything like that. So
We should ask him, is he putting on a belly pan or a diaper?
he actually made a comment in that post asking, if that situation had happened, which one would have protected it the most?
Oh,
Would
cool.
a diaper have protected the oil filter if that had happened? So, because I mean, it's such a freak accident that happened, that that's really a hard thing, because I don't even know, like, definitely a pan wouldn't have helped with that, because it was like spraying out the side of the block. Initially thought he had hurt the engine pretty bad. So
Yeah. And then we got Hidden Motorsports here, Carl saying that he runs a diaper, so
yeah.
pretty
Well,
good mix of both,
I
really
would.
in the overall um kind of responses. It's been fairly even with the belly pan slightly ahead.
Yep, I would, wear a diaper if I rode in Klaus the Barbarian with him. That car is pretty intense, man. 1,800 horsepower, twin turbo LS, and a cart. Man,
Yep.
the Narcs cart makes 300 horsepower, and it's a little bit dangerous every now and then. So I can only imagine what that thing is like.
Oh,
So
come on. That thing hasn't been outside of your garage in like 3 years. Don't give me
it's
that.
only been 2.5. So I am definitely working on it a little bit here and there. I actually put it on the lift the other day. So we're getting closer. I drove it from the house back here 6 months ago. Now I've got it on the lift, and now we can start pulling the transmission down.
Yeah, we got a Facebook user here saying I'd love to do a pan now, since I did sick week with a diaper, oil temps.
Mm, yep.
So that
Yep.
seems to be the biggest theme with the engine diaper is the oil temps, is
Yep.
what I'm seeing.
Well, and I think that's kind of, for a race car, it doesn't matter, because you're trying to get it to temp and then make a pass. But
Right.
for, us driving 1,000 miles, the guys with the belly pans, they can literally pull up and drop the pan, or pull up, but they can get done making their pass, drop the pan in 2 or 3 minutes, depending on how you build it. But there's no way you could do that with a diaper, the
Yeah.
way they're made. So it would be really difficult to do that. So
And then we got Zachary Stevens here saying I'd like to know what ETs people start using either oil containment methods.
yeah, I think it's like a new, or an NHRA rule. You've got to have something at certain ETs, but I think we're now getting to the point where folks have some cars sorted, and so now this is just that next upgrade, that next thing you can work on, so you can continue to keep working on your car and keep building it.
Yeah. And Hidden Motorsports here again. Oil cooler and no oil temp sensor equals no care.
I
There we
mean,
go.
let's be honest, that car drifts and it does Aussie style burnouts. He probably doesn't even look. He doesn't care. I mean, that car is it's gonna work till it won't. And
Yep.
that's the whole thing.
Which is what's cool about the BMW there is they do a little bit of everything with that car. They've done the
Yeah.
drifting, they've done drag and drive, so all around fun vehicle there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, sadly, Dan Chandler here says, unfortunately, Zachary, even slow cars can oil down. Yes, and again, that's what happens. And Dan's put thousands of miles on that truck, tens of thousands of miles on that truck, and never had an issue, until he does the John Force burnout, of course, sadly. But
Yeah.
again, one of the coolest burnouts that's out there. All right,
Yeah.
let's keep going here, because I know that, we're gonna end up on the oil pan, or belly pan and engine diaper conversation for too long, and we're kind of on a schedule here. So we got, next up is the Summit Racing Drag and Drive World Champion updates, guys. If you don't know, Bryant Goldstone won it last year. I was gonna say dominated, but my brain said you can't say that, because I mean, like he really had to work for it to get there. He didn't
Yeah.
have it locked up at any time during any of the events that he went to. But he's obviously done sick week, got that knocked out, has a perfect points event with sick week. Okay, so 39 points from there. He is signed up for six summer. And as of yesterday, he is signed up for Hot Rod Drag Week 2024. That's right, early registration because he was the Drag and Drive World Champion, and the Hot Rod Magazine staff is amazing. So they gave us free entry. They gave him free entry, not me. They gave him free entry into Hot Rod Drag Week 2024 for winning that. So it's pretty awesome. And then Rocky Mountain Race Week, I know that Bryant and Matt have been talking. I don't necessarily have the 100% say that I can 100% say he's going to 1.0, but I know they've been talking, and I hope he does. I hope he attends 1.0 because the current leader of that is Mr. Larry Larson with the 690. And I know that 1.0 isn't in the mountains, so it would be a little different. But I'm telling you, to drop from a 690 all time average, low average ET to something in the 640s, or even if he lays back and runs in the 70s, like that would just man, I'm telling you, with Lutz coming back for sick week, I think that kind of we're going to see some resurgence. I think there's guys that are wanting to have fun in their cars, and it'd be awesome to see Larry Larson back as well. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows? I'm hoping. So if you want to see Bryant Goldstone at 1.0, definitely let him know. I know he's a member of the Rocky Mountain Race Weekers Facebook group, so we need to get him in there. So, anyways, yeah, six summer hot rod drag week for sure. I mean, could he lock it up with those three? I don't know. I don't know. The new point structure, it may go down to the wire again. It probably will, knowing the whole system. And if you haven't found it yet, dragdriverpete.com/world champion. You can find all the rules and point structure and all that kind of stuff there as well.
Yeah, and the benefit of him getting into these events early, I shouldn't say early, but getting more events in early is if something does go wrong, he's still got
Yep.
a few more events later in the year to get some more points.
Well, that's right. And like 2023, he actually DNF'd at sick week. So he had to do, he had to do Southeast Street to even be a contender. And
Yeah,
that's the last event of the season. So you don't want to go down to like the wire because they had to fix the car if they were going to win. So as they're sleeping in that car for the hour they slept on night one, they had to get up and fix it the next morning. They couldn't
right.
just, oh, well, we'll hit the next one. They couldn't do that. So pretty awesome. All right. Well, let's jump in. Lead us into the Howard's Cams community segment. Howard's Cams, the official valve train of Drag Drive Repeat. Love Luke B and the team over there. But they've stepped up from the news and are now a show segment sponsor, which is so fun because now we can spend a little more time on it because we're not trying to cram everything into an hour. So go ahead and tell us what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so our buddy Luke B over at Howard's Cam, uh, discussing valve train options for the car. And 1320 video did a street car with Brett. So what's your vote here? Is Bailey running for 599 after driving his car 1,000 miles on drag week 19?
Is he the baddest street car in the USA? That's the question, right? Because
Or
in my opinion, yes. I mean, like quickest and fastest street car in the USA is what 1320 video put on here. I
yeah,
mean, Bailey's got that right, like because and this kind of leads into the Kyle Williams post that you sent me earlier, is because Kyle Williams says uh, his post base says, "Dang, everybody popping off on what a streetcar is." Personally, I think there's one right answer. It's you have to have completed a drag and drive. Period. Simple. Period. I,
yeah,
I I kind of agree with him. Even if it was a regional event and you went out and laid down some numbers, but to
yeah,
have a car that's titled, okay, cool, that works. Insured, yep. Drive it on the street, okay. Can I sit in a drive-through? Can I cruise it anywhere? And could you buy fuel for any of that stuff from any gas station? That would be the question.
yeah. But we got a couple people here saying, Brett's the goat. 28s. Brett's car is
Yep.
dominated. So
Yeah, I think Brett's car in this group of cars, Brett's car has definitely, in my opinion, is the car to beat, especially for the season as we move into like some of the drag and drive stuff and all the World Cup finals and all the Texas 2K and all that. Like, I mean, 5 liter Coyote setup,
Yeah.
275s, and goes out and just 630s. I mean, that what's funny is their average was a hundredth slower than their best all out pass going into sick week.
Right.
It's crazy. And yeah, Brett here saying that card just absolutely works. Or Brett Hubert. Yes, it does. It's really amazing. There were several comments in the 1320 video post talking about how well that car works. One and done passes during dragon drives. It goes out and just, I mean, kicks puppies at Texas 2K. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's wearing his green shoes at the end of the weekend for sure. And we have an affinity for drag and drive stuff when we're thinking over here, but it's really cool that 1320 video is talking that highly of it compared to some of these other cars. I mean, some of those other cars make 2 and 3 and 3,500 horsepower.
Right.
So
But it, like you said, it all comes down to, can it sit in the drive-through and can it make the miles? And,
yeah,
I had a conversation with a guy at work today and I said, for us, all it's got to do is burnouts and ice cream, go get
yeah,
ice cream and do burnouts. But when you
yep,
start talking, these high horsepower cars, it's like, it's gotta be able to last. It's the drive is harder than the race.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's what a lot of people are going to start realizing as they attend these events is the racing is the easy part. I mean, Brett said that the other day about their 2019 drag week trip was that the racing's the easy part. It's all the other stuff that comes along.
Yep.
What's Derek saying here?
He's just saying Brett's car is impressive, has the radial tire record for single pass and average. Tom's 2.0 has quickest pass at 599 250 and a 629 average, and Lutz has the quickest overall average at 619.
Yep. Yeah, and obviously Derek Putnam is the man with he's the voice of sick events, which is awesome and a great resource for all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys caught it while we were live on Sick Week, but he actually walked up at one of the route stops and dude, just the way he just rattled off all the stuff that been going, it was awesome. It was so much fun hanging out with that guy. All
Yep.
right. Let's talk about something that's a little bit sad. Not that I've ever used them, but the Hilborn foul injection that is going away. Sadly, Holly has decided to discontinue that brand within their community, and so obviously Hilborn is a big part of Andy Starr's life. So he was when I saw that news, I immediately messaged him and was like, "Man, what does this mean?" Essentially asking, are there going to be people that do this? Are you still going to be able to tune? And of course, Andy, being the awesome guy he is, he said, "I'm still extremely passionate about the Hilburn brand, and I will not only be supporting that product, but have Hilburn Big Block Chevrolet inventory in stock." So he bought some stuff before it went out, and so he has it in stock if folks want to do that for Big Block Chevrolet stuff, and then he can tune it and guys, this is what he cut his teeth on was Hilburn injection. So this is how he gets there as far as like star performance and tuning. It's really Andy's knowledge. He's been on the show before. He's so smart. It's hard for him to hang out with me. I can only imagine him trying to dumb stuff down enough. But he said just because Holly's closed the doors on Hilborn doesn't mean that it's going to be in the dark. One thing that's really cool about that is I think you're going to see kind of maybe like a little bit of a resurgence because now you're not going to be able to buy it new anymore. So will we get a little bit of a bump? Because man, there's really nothing cooler than this look right here. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
oh, the Hilburn injection just looks so cool. So you got Andy Starr, you got Josh Norris who runs it in the red Chevy 2. It just looks amazing. And so those guys know what they're doing. But Andy also said Holly's acquisition of the Hilborn fuel injection brand at the last hour allowed the legacy of this great company to continue as Holly continues to reinvent itself. Specialty products such as Hilborn become less viable and sustainable. I consider Holly's time at the helm more of a place setting for when an organization that can commit the resources needed to take full advantage of the Hilborn legacy materializes. So I think that means some, he is seeing a future for Hilborn for sure. I think again, what will happen is we'll see, obviously no new parts for a little while, and then somebody will step in. That's one of the coolest things about the automotive culture and industry is that things don't die. People just continue to reinvent the way they're going to come out. They're going to grab those old brands and bring them back in maybe a limited number of forms. So
Right.
kind of exciting. So he does say that he said, make no mistake, the people at Holly are extremely passionate about the high performance automotive aftermarket, and there are many things that affect a decision at this level. We may never know what truly transpired, but I hold no ill will towards Holly, and I hope that others will not pass judgment. So again, Andy Starr being the man and the politician that he is it's amazing. I love having that dude as a friend, and not that he's a bicycle guy, but or especially a vintage BMX guy, but he carries one on the back of the car trailer, so you got to give him that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Howie here saying Doug Cook might be interested.
yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome, and it would be in good hands with Doug for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the circuit. I drove a little
Yeah.
bit of the route the other day. I see Jared is in the back there, buddy. Hang tight. We're running through. Appreciate you jumping on with us. So I ran the route the other day, driving part of it because we made a mistake last year, and one of the roads we took everybody on was trash. So we're not making that mistake again this year. I will be driving every mile that we're going to drive. I'm going to drive it beforehand. So I went ahead and grabbed some pictures. If you're watching the YouTube channel, you also saw some shorts and some reels on Instagram and things like that of some of the stuff that I hit, but I also grabbed a couple of pictures while I was doing that. So the route from Mocan to Gearhead Curios in Galena, Kansas is a little boring, but it really does provide an opportunity to get there's some good shoulders, there's some good driveways, and it's very easy. There's only 2 or 3 stop signs that we'll have to stop at, and there should be very little traffic on a Friday midday. So if you're working to make your passes and get on the road, this will be a great spot for you to kind of test that roadworthiness of your car. From the track to Galena is only about 30 miles, I think, by the route we're taking. So again, 2-lane backcountry roads. This is going to be a lot of fun. Once we get to Gearhead Curios, this is literally right along the this big boy is at Gearhead Curios. The Galena City Jail is right on the other side of the this other building that's right next to it. So Galena, Kansas is essentially it's one of the coolest little downtowns. It's old
Yes,
school
it is.
feel. It's got cars on the route at the end of the road, which is an homage to Cars the movie. So it's got Tomater and the sheriff and all this kind of stuff down there. So we're really going to have a lot of fun right there in Galena. But I want to ask that you kind of jump in there, grab something of at Gearhead Curios. He's got a lot of really neat items that are within that. He actually curates those all himself. So he's finding that stuff to resell. And then there's a wall of dollar bills that you can write where you're from and all that. So please do that. But at Gearhead, there's not a ton of parking. We can park along the street, obviously, but let's work our way to like getting to Boots Court faster, right? So let's not spend a couple hours at Gearhead because I think we're going to really cause a traffic jam in downtown Galena, Kansas. But there is E85 at the gas station at Casey's right there. So for all
Yep.
of you E85 guys, that's the spot to get it until we get to Springfield. And I'm working on E85 in Springfield. But if you can't make it 30 miles without worrying about E85, pack some fuel jugs, dude. Like I don't know what to tell you, right? So we typically don't worry about it. But I pulled up to the Casey's. There's literally an E85 pump there. So I was like, awesome. We'll do that.
Yeah. And I think once you hit that checkpoint, I feel like most people that weren't there last year might cruise down and see the cars stuff, which will then kind of maybe eliminate some of that traffic
Yeah.
jam if there is. And that's where all the burnouts were done last year.
Yeah. Hold on. My daughter is standing here. Huh? We're talking about the route. You want to come in here and say hi to all these people at home? So, y'all, this is my daughter Gracie. She is the gymnast. This is she's getting the.
Hey,
He came out here with me. They are all saying hi. Okay, love you. She's my car buddy. She's the one we bought the car. We're going to be building her. She's 11, so we have 2 years to build the junior street car for her. So we're
did
working on that whole other thing on Narcoleptic Customs. You can find
did
it over
she
there.
go with you on the route here?
Nope.
No.
I asked her to, but she said she didn't want to. She didn't want to get out and about that day. So whatever. She hung out with mom. I'll give her that. So Then so I leave Galena. You cruise from that's in the edge of Kansas. You cruise over into Missouri, and this is literally probably one of the first things you're going to come by. I have no idea what this car is, dude. I don't even know what it started as. The
Yeah.
front wheels are a wide five VW look, but I don't. But like that that window that's over the driven hat there is literally the driver's seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not the back, that's the driver's seat. So I
Oh,
don't
jeez.
know what this thing is. So of course it was Sunday and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, so nobody was out and about. This is in front of a junkyard, but I, it blew me away. I was like, okay, I don't know what to think here, but some really neat stuff. So the trip from Gearhead Curios to the Boots Court Motel is 25 miles and took me 90 minutes.
Because you stopped at so many things along the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, so I stopped here. I actually had to turn around here. I really thought, man, I should not go back and look at that. And I just dude whipped a big U-turn
I was
right in
gonna
the middle of the
say,
road.
you sent me a picture, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah, yeah. This isn't even the weirdest side of that thing either. And so then coming through a little town, I can't remember the name of this town, but this is literally the road there that you see in front of that building is Route 66, and this is just in the yard. This is just in the yard. So this old truck, whatever this was, International or Jeep or something like that, this big mural is across the street on the side of a building. Oh, I went too far. But there's like 5 cars right here just around this. It's a regular old house lot. Nobody lives in the house anymore. But this is the kind of stuff you're going to see the entire way. And I literally
Nice.
drove 50 miles of the route and stopped, I don't know, a lot. Stopped a lot. So I'm going to blast through that. Oh man, I didn't put the so there's also a place called the Super Tam, which is an ice cream stand which will be open by the time we come through,
Oh,
which
cool.
has like a 2,500 piece Superman museum. It's
Wow.
literally in this small town, downtown. You just drive right through the middle of it. If you are even blinking when you go through this, you're going to miss this ice cream stop unless there's a cool whole bunch of race car friends that are stopped there. So I really hope that a lot of folks are going to end up stopping there. And then the Boots Court Motel, which is this right here, this is the second oldest motel on Route 66.
Which is pretty wild.
It's pretty cool, and I know you can't see my cursor here, but it is the what looks like a carport is actually a carport. So this is 13 rooms. This was like a big deal back in the day to be cruising across the states, and then you come across this thing at night. This place is going to look really, really cool, but no burnouts in the carports, guys. No burnouts in the carports. It's going to be hard. You're going to want to do it, but you cannot. Please don't.
Yeah.
So they go all the way through actually, which is really cool. And so this sign's been up since like the early 50s, but 13 rooms. It's got well basically loop in, but right next to that is also the new visitor center that was an old Sunoco station.
Yeah.
So you'll have a lot of really great parking options. They're bringing in a bunch of asphalt, not just for this event, but for all of the people that are coming throughout this season of Route 66. So I'm really excited about this stuff. This is where I think we can really probably put in 70 or 80 cars comfortably around this whole facility. So when I say don't spend a ton of time at Gearhead, it's because I want you to spend more a little more time here because I think we can really congregate here and not interrupt the flow of everything and get a lot of folks in trouble.
Yeah.
So
Did you check out the rooms or anything at this place?
no, I didn't because
I just wonder if they still have that old school vibe to them, or what
dude,
they're like.
if they don't, it would surprise me
Yeah.
because the way Jeremy talked about who is the manager of this facility and also runs the visitor center next door, they're eat up with it, dude. Like they live and breathe Route 66. So everything they do is how can they keep that vibe going. So it's not they're not modernizing a lot of stuff. So the the visitor center next door is really one of the coolest spots. It's an old service station, so it has that feel when you look at it, but like all the windows are new. You can tell it's been updated and remodeled.
Hmm.
Then they have a ton of really cool merch inside and all that. So I'm hoping again that we can 70 or 80 cars can comfortably fit here. We can hang out, we can all talk. I'm going to have somebody run up some ice cream and drinks and stuff ahead of time so we can all kind of just chill here for just a little bit. Maybe let me catch up after we close the track down at 5. Then I'll jump in the car and we'll go straight to Boots Court. We'll skip Gearhead Curios at that point, trying to catch up with the whole crew.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It should be fun.
Oh man, it's going to be awesome. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. The routes we've taken, we've actually been through some of the route of this before because we went from Springfield to Mocan in the past, and so
Yep.
we're driving along the same some of those routes, but we did it with 20 cars that time. We're doing the 150 plus cars this time. It's going to be intense. So, and this is the other side of this is Welcome to Carthage. It's got a really cool. I think this will probably be our route stop picture area. You can see the Boots Court in the back and all that. So it's going to be awesome. Well, guys, before we bring on our first guest, Mr. J Rod's Garage, Mr. Jared Holt, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you for everything that everybody does for us, man. It really truly does help keep us going when it's 1 a.m. and we want to go to bed 2 hours ago. It definitely makes it better because you are our race car fan and you're here. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oils, Car Chains, Howard's Cams, Performa Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. Guys, we couldn't do it without them either. So thank you to everybody that is a part of this crazy thing we call Drag Drive Repeat.
Yep. And then we're going to do our Molly ad read here. So, attention high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers, meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power packed performance. Crafted with precision from top quality alloys or pistons, offer tighter clearances and increased resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, we've got you covered. What sets us apart? Forged pistons, graphol coating, and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. Again, Molly is spelled Mahle.
Awesome. All right. Well, Mr. Jared, if you're ready for your time on the hot seat here, man, we're excited to have you. I know we're a little later than what we talked about, so we're gonna bring him on. Guys, if you don't know, Jared Holt is one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. You're one of my favorite people in the entire car community, but then also you run King of the Open Road, which is one of the funnest events that is out there. It's a drag and drive. It's a learning experience, I would say. That's we're going to talk about a little bit of that, and then you have an interesting thought on all of how to bring all this together, like a heavyweight class. You have high roller class. You have, anyways, roll racing, all kinds of. I'll let you tell it, dude. Introduce yourself and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I go by J Rod. You can find me at JRod_OKC on Instagram, J Rod's Garage on Facebook, and J Rod's Garage on YouTube. We started King of the Open Road in the midst of COVID 2020. And it was a really one-day event, super small deal. It was an actual street racing event. We rented a road in Hinton, Oklahoma. And I'd done Rocky Mountain Race Week the year before. And it inspired me to begin doing actual full-blown events at our local track. And here we are going into our 2024 season, and we did 3 states, 3 events last year that were hugely successful.
Yes.
Arizona, Texas were obviously a little bit different market than my home here in the 405. So those markets weren't as large a car count, but anytime you can introduce new people to drag and drive, to me, it's a victory.
Yeah.
So, those were super fun events. And here we are a few months out. April 26th to 28th is the next King of the Open Road right here in the 405, Thunder Valley. And I think it's going to be our best one yet for a lot of different reasons. But I'm really excited to see this event grow. I think this year we're going to maybe scale it back. We felt like 3 events and still holding full-time jobs was tough to do. Javier, my partner that owns that racing channel, his plate's full, my plate's full. So, it hasn't been publicly announced, but what we're doing is we're going to do a King of the Open Road in April and likely a fall event or drag race. But somewhere in the middle of that, we're going to do a King of the Open Road off-road edition. There's nothing like that in the off-road community. I've been off-roading for as long as I've been drag racing. Obviously, it's got put on the back burner as I've progressed in drag racing. And, the last, 2 years ago, we did the street outlaw stuff and all that. So I just bought an FJ Cruiser and I've really been getting back into it. And I thought, why isn't there anything like this for off-road? And so here we are. I've already got it pretty much locked down. We're doing 3 off-road parks over 3 days. And the great thing with off-road is you don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about insurance. You don't have to worry about track rental. Like, it's the
Yeah.
wild west. I mean, it's so cool. And being in Oklahoma, we're so blessed to have so many off-road parks. So we're going to do that. And I'm really excited to see the Jeep community and the Toyota off-road community. And here in Oklahoma,
Mhm.
side-by-sides are street legal. We have a
Yes.
side-by-side races at King of the Open Road. So I know he owns a side-by-side business, and, he's one of our sponsors, and we've been talking, and yeah, I think it's going to be really big. What we're going to do with that is we're going to do three off-road parks in 3 days. They're all about 150 miles apart, but we're not going to take any public highways. It's going to be all back
Yeah.
road, dirt road stuff. And there's going to be 3 different trails for different categories. There's going to be a novice trail, like a stock Jeep. There's going to be something like
Mhm.
an intermediate, like 33s and maybe a rear locker. And then there's going to be some pretty hardcore shit. So it's going to be like 35s, 37s, locker. But you got to keep in mind, you got to complete these trails and still drive to the next off road park. And so, like with Coder, we do the tokens. That's kind of our thing, right? We do these
Yep.
tokens. Well, we're going to do an individual token for each individual park for each trail. So if you get like, a green trail or whatever we call it, you're going to get all 3. You'll get a prize at the end if you complete it. We'll probably give you one of the crowns. You'll get to sit in this throne right here behind me, get to take some pictures. Without a drag race, without some kind of a competition, it's going to be pretty hard to give cash out, but we're going to figure something
Mhm.
out. But yeah, it's going to happen. It's looking like it's going to be September, and I feel like a lot of the drag race guys have off-road machines. Whether it's
Yep.
a stock, like a Rubicon on 35s or whatever it may be. So it's going to give us an avenue to go play in off-road. And man, just think of the content that's going to be able to provide
Dude.
all the
Yeah.
Well,
water crossings and rock. So like we got to come up with a cool name for it. But I wanted to get ahead of this before someone else did it. Right? We want to be the
yep.
first. There's something called the Ultimate Challenge that Motor Trend does that's kind of similar, but they're really, really hardcore rigs. And much
Yeah.
like the open road drag race, I'm not after the outlaw cars. I'm after the guy that runs 10s, 11s, and 12s, maybe 9s. I'm after the average Joe car guy, right? There's way more of us than there are Tom Bailey's and Jeff Lutz and Brett
Yep.
LaSalle's. And I just feel like that's a bigger demographic. And, just like with King of the Open Road, it'll introduce people into this. And I guarantee you, people that have off-road vehicles, they probably got race cars too. So it's
Oh
going to
yeah.
for people to the movement.
That's
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like where your head is at. And again, dude, you do a great job of bringing an entire community together. If you guys aren't on the Cruising Oklahoma page, you need to do that. That's what, almost 20,000 people
Yeah.
strong in there.
21 now. And,
Yep.
we started that in COVID as well. And we did a cruise every month for 36 months. So for 3 years.
Mm.
And this year we're going to dial it back because I felt like it got stagnant for the community. They expected a cruise every month and the numbers kind of dwindled. We got down to maybe 100, 150 cars where when it was like a new hip thing, we were seeing 300 to 500 cars.
Yep.
And so,
Wow.
we're going to dial it back this year. We're going to do like 6 events. We're going to start the first one in April, which is our King of the Open Road cruise, which is where King of the Open
Hmm.
Road started with Cruising Oklahoma, and just give the people something to look forward to rather than
Yep.
expect. So that's what we're going to do with
Yeah.
Cruising Oklahoma.
No, I dig it. Well, dude, let's talk about King of the Open Road April.
Yep.
Obviously, Oklahoma City, like you said a minute ago. I want to talk about one of the classes that is my favorite and definitely a favorite of Jack Crawford's, the heavyweight class, the LTD Yacht One. So, how great did it make you feel to see Sick Week kind of adopting like a heavyweight class?
Yeah.
They
I saw that.
wanted some of those heavier cars out.
I saw that. I wanted to do 6 week this year, just wasn't in the cards. Obviously,
Yep.
my car stays in Florida at Real Street, so it was going to be super easy. Brett LaSalle obviously works on it. When he was at Real Street, just recently moved over to
Hmm.
Motorworks. So it just didn't happen. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, that's pretty cool, right? Because we were like the
Yep.
first drive to integrate a heavyweight class, and we're also the first
Hmm.
Dragon drive to do roll racing. So I'm kind of anxious to see if the roll racing migrates into some of the bigger week-long events because I really think it should. It's another demographic of racer that the Lambo guys, the R8 guys, the stick shift ZR1, there's a lot of cars out there that those guys are
Hmm.
just as passionate as we are about drag racing, but they don't have, I wouldn't call it the skill set. Their car just isn't set up to do it from a
Yep.
dead stop. So,
Yep.
it's the roll racing has been really popular at our event, and a lot of the guys do both. They'll do the roll
Yep.
racing, take their car down to get some test passes, and then they can dial it in for the drag racing. So it's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Well, where are you stopping for the route stop this year?
Yeah, so our route this year is pretty cool. You know, our first big one when you came and you rode with me, we went out to Clinton, Oklahoma. That was about
Hmm.
300 miles round trip. It was hot as hell that day. We did it my 30th anniversary WS6, super fun deal. This
Yep.
year, doing the opposite side of the state. We're going east, and it's right about the same distance. It's 291 miles. I actually drove some of the route today. And we're going through rural Oklahoma, like really rural Oklahoma. No gas stations out there, so people are going to have to be mindful of that with bringing fuel and stuff like that. But the stop is something that I pride myself in, and I feel like I try to do the best I can for the racer to provide them a memorable experience, right? So, like every time we
Hmm.
do, try to inject a ton of history with our maps and our tokens and all that. Well, this one, I feel like we leveled up. Um, it
Yep.
was something, an idea that I'd been wanting to do with cruising Oklahoma, just never made it happen. But in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, which sits right on historic Route 66, there's a historic theater there called the Teepee. It's a drive-in theater that a philanthropist that's from Tulsa that actually lives in California now that owns this big makeup line. They didn't tell me what they own, but they got money. And so they're putting a lot of money in Sapulpa. So they have this really cool restaurant in downtown Sapulpa that's 2 stories. It's really hard to explain how intricate the woodworking is, and it's just a really cool place. Well, they also own that theater. So what we're doing is we're actually renting that theater, and we're going to put 300 drag and drive cars in a drive-in at sunset, and we're watching American Graffiti on Route 66. So
Dude,
That's
how
awesome.
cool is that?
yeah, I think that will be a memorable deal because, as we go further in time, people lose sight of a drive-in theater. Route
Mhm.
66. Well, I've taken my kids, but a lot of guys in the 30s like me, they've probably never been there self. That was our
Yep.
parents' generation and our parents' generation more. So
Yep.
for those places like that to still be open and still be, thriving, I think it's really cool. And then American Graffiti on Route 66 with drag and drive cars. I mean, shit. I
Yep.
mean, that's a cool deal.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree completely.
And
So you kind of
the
said
route.
it's going to be. Go
Sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say you talked about it being in rural Oklahoma.
Uh huh.
What's some of the stuff that people can expect to see along those routes? Is there anything
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
interesting and sights?
oh yeah. Yeah. Of course there is. I'm a history freak, and I'm a born and bred Okie, and I know a lot of the states I've lived. We moved a lot as a kid. For me, with my dad being in the oil and gas field, we moved a ton. So I know a lot of these little back roads, which helps me with these routes. But yeah, so one historic town that we'll be driving through is a town called Sasakwa. Sasakwa is like a town of like 600 people. It's a Native American town. There's a lot of Native American history there. Then we're going to go into a town called Wowoka. There's known for the Wowoka Switch. It was a train thing back in the day. And then as we progress east from there, we're going to go into Sapulpa. Sapulpa is actually the county seat of Creek County. There's a ton of history there, and I mean a ton. There's actually a Route 66 museum there right down the street from the theater that actually has the tallest gas pump in the world. It's like a 45-foot replica of an old glass globe gas pump that's right on Route 66. And
That's cool.
they got 27 cars in there, tons of Route 66 history. It was actually an old National Guard armory that a guy had bought and turned into a museum. It's a really neat deal. And as you
How
progress
cool.
back west from Sapulpa down Route 66, I mean, you've got the historic Rock Cafe, which is in Stroud, Oklahoma. I heard you guys talking about the cars deal earlier. Well, a lot of people don't
Hmm.
realize the Rock Cafe in Stroud is where Sally, the movie character from that movie, was based around. Dawn Welch, the lady that owns that. Because I actually grew up in that cafe working as a kid. So did my mom.
Wow.
And I was there in 1997 when they came to actually scout out the movie Cars. The movie Monsters Inc. and The Bug's Life had just came out, and I actually got a signed T-shirt from the director. So that part has a ton of Cars history. Plus, it's a big historic landmark on Route 66. Also in Stroud, there's the Skyliner Motel, which had been around since I think the early 20s. Super neat deal. It's got the old LED or neon sign. And as you just continue to progress west, you've got towns like Arcadia, Oklahoma, which is very historic. I saw, Mike, you had posted a picture at Pops not long ago on your Facebook.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
Big glass. So that is going to be a kind of a weird deal. The main route on it is actually going to turn south before you get to Pops because I don't like to take people on interstates or through big towns. But I know a lot
Yep.
of people see that. So there's two historic stops there called the Red Barn and Pops, which are both in Arcadia. I'm going to give people the option. Obviously, it's only going to be 6 miles away. So I'm going to encourage people to
Nice.
go. But a lot with Coder, our rules are laxed. We don't have stringent rules. You can pretty much do what you want as long as you get that token. That token is your race. right? Without that token, you can't race. So I hope people get to see all this and really take their time and indulge themselves in the local history. And another thing that we were doing this year is a lot of you probably know Jack Wagon Nova that does Rocky Mountain Race Week
Yep.
and all that. He came to Coder, Texas, hit it off with the guy, super amazing guy. Well, he sent me like 12 historic drive-in movie speakers because I had talked to him about it. So we're having those custom etched with the date and King of the Open Road and all that. And we're actually going to hide, I wouldn't say hide them. We're going to drop them off at different landmarks along the way that aren't necessarily a stop. But if you want to stop in there and see if someone's grabbed it yet, you're more than welcome to, because 12
How
people,
cool.
they're going to get an option. They're going to get an opportunity to have those. And they're like legit 1940 speakers. I mean, they're not, they're very
How cool.
so that's just some of the things we're doing in the King of the Open Road this year. So we really hope to set the bar up this year and make it that much more of an experience. Because let's be real, people can go drag race anywhere, any weekend, at any place. So to me, it's the cruise, it's that experience, it's making the memories with your family, having a cold beer and a steak, and all those things is what makes King of the Open Road to me a little bit different than most, because I do spend so much time making those maps and really indulging in the local history.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, and
sounds awesome.
I do want to tell you, be that time that I spent with you in the car, and just the level of thought that you gave to that is over the top, has made my event and my thought process even better. And that's, I mean, 100% accredited to you, because it really truly is amazing what you've done with not only just the brand, but also what you do and provide for the folks too. It was really a fun experience to get to ride with you as we pulled into a town. It was like you would make a phone call and then there'd be like a police officer block the street. I mean, I
Yeah.
think at one point we had like 80 or 90 cars behind us, and everybody had a green light, whether it was green or not. So it was pretty.
That's the cool thing with Oklahoma, man. A lot of people don't realize this. There's more people in the DFW Metroplex than our entire state. So like it's just a big town in this state. And being from
Yeah.
here my whole life and being, in the cars and all that with cruising Oklahoma, I've made so many relationships with these local municipalities. So they're literally just a phone call away. And they're some of the best people I know. And so they're more than willing to set up a roadblock or use a fire truck. And then, you let these towns know, when's the last time a town's seen 300 race cars come through it?
Yeah.
Lambos and Ferraris and old muscle cars and, all that stuff. So it becomes kind of like a rolling parade through these small towns, and those people remember that stuff. And then what's cool about it is you never know what those kids are watching. You may be inspiring the next generation when you drive your race car through.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That's going to be really cool. Um, so what are some of the racers we need to watch out for your upcoming event in
Well,
April?
yeah, I've been chatting with Brett about coming. Obviously, me and Brett are pretty tight. I don't know if it's going to work now that he just started at Motion. I know Mr. Frost said he's going to come. We don't have an outlaw class this year. I took that class away because it was so small. So I think he's going to bring one of June's cars and come cruise around with us and
Cool.
hang out. Sean and Betty, my buddy with the Subaru Misfire Motorsports that raced on my Street Outlaw team, that car is just right at the verge of busting into the eights. They're put a new turbo on it. They're going after eights. The Jack Wagon Nova is going to be there. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. I know we're going to have 700 horsepower side by side doing this. They're going to be driving that thing around. I mean, that thing should go mid to low nines.
Yeah.
Motor class, Dustin Moody's Performance, who sponsors our event, he'll be coming back and racing his turbo bike, and Justified Performance out of Arkansas. They bring some amazing cars out, ZR1s and motorcycles, and the list could go on and on. We opened, I think, about a week ago registration, and we're sitting already at 141. And
Nice.
and our number 250. So I think we'll get there really quick. A lot of my demographic of racers, they race Texas 2K, and that's the first big race, right? For us in the year. So after Texas 2K, which is like March 10th, I'm sure as long as their cars live and they're not too banged up, we're a flood of entries after that. And what's neat is after that, obviously I go into racing my other cars after we get done promoting the event, but I plan on doing Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0 this year. I haven't been back to racing since I think 2019. But yeah, me and Jay from Real Street Performance, kind of my tuner, one of my best friends. He's going to come out here and hop in the car, and we're going to do, guy stuff. We're going to drive around Texas and all those tracks that Matt picked. I've never been to, so except for Texas. So I'm really looking forward to that trip. We're going to get the super lined out and see if we can't, I know we're probably running that 750 class, but we went 721 at 194 at World Cup with no nitrous. So we know if
Wow.
we that car, it'll probably go a 7.0 at 200. I don't know if we want to push it that hard, or you got to drive it 1,000 miles, because that car's still 3,500 pounds, power windows, power locks, headlights, the whole bit. So it's a lot of stress for 180 cubic inches.
Yeah, that's dude. I love that car and love what you guys have done with it for sure. Well, so what are some other cars that you got in the stable in the fleet there behind you? Because I see there's some stacks of stuff back there.
I mean, I got the throne, so I figured I'd set it up. So we just picked up that '03 Cobra that we just uploaded to our YouTube channel. That, man, I didn't think a Mustang of all things would really do well on my channel, but it's got about 100,000 views on that video. It's picked me up like 5,000 subscribers. People are eating that up. So it's a zinc yellow
Yep.
'03 Cobra that's kind of a barn find. We're doing a full Manly rotating assembly in it, a big, Kenny Bell or a Whipple, kind of old school build. I've got my STI in there. I just blew my Evo up last weekend. That wasn't
Yeah,
fun.
I saw that.
Yeah, my Integra Type R's in there, my Dodge Stealth, a couple 3000 GTs, my O2 SS 35th anniversary Camaro, my 30th anniversary WS6, a couple sport bikes, and my Viper. Then the two
Yep.
Super are away, my 300ZX is away, my RX-7's away. They're all getting upgrades. So you know how it is. It's just never ending.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, I want to say thank you for coming on tonight, dude. I appreciate you giving us some insight on the the event, obviously. But dude, like, I mean, I think that's breaking news about the off road deal, and I'm not really an off road guy, but I'm really pumped about that event.
Yeah, the off-road stuff I think it's going to give those off-road people the same experience and enjoyment that we get out of these events. And man, like, those people, they're the same motorsports as we do. They just do it different, right? They like to crawl
Yep.
big rocks and go through mud and climb up steep inclines. And to me, that's just as fun as going 200 miles an hour in a car.
Yep.
So I thought to myself, I was like, man, we have this platform to use with TRC having,
Mhm.
a 1.6 million subscriber YouTube channel. And let's get these people some positive light on them, and let's go off-roading, and let's,
Yeah.
hit the dirt roads, like the real back roads, single lane,
That's right.
like, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I think it'll be cool. And a lot of those people will camp. They're overland people, right? So they'll have tents on the, they will literally, they'll do their trail, they'll wheel. And then obviously, Kicker's one of my biggest sponsors, and with sponsors and everything we do, Kicker's going to give us some really cool outdoor rugged speakers that we're going to hide around the off-road parks. So once you get through doing your trail, you can go try to find those and be kind of like a treasure hunt. So it'll be something that's really family friendly. You bring your dog, it's pretty cool. I'm real excited about it.
Yep, that's awesome, man. Well, where can people watch you? I think you said J Rod Garage a
Yeah.
few times. Where all are you at?
YouTube, I think we'll probably hit 20,000 subscribers tomorrow. We've really been busting our butt the last couple of weeks on that deal. JRod_OKC on Instagram, and then JRod's Garage on Facebook. And then King of the Open Road has an Instagram as well as a Facebook page. KOTOR is our acronym. A lot of people shorten it up to that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me. I'd love to get any kind of racers that have never experienced King of the Open Road that are looking for that next adventure, because I promise you it will be an adventure.
Oh yeah, anything with using adventure, dude. It's going to be fun. I intend to drive over that Friday and hang out with you guys. I don't know if I can get there that morning because you guys leave at like 7 a.m. for your drives.
We won't leave.
But
We won't leave that because Sunset Movie Theater. We can't watch the movie before the sunsets, so we will
well,
not.
that's a great point.
Yeah, we won't be leaving that early. It'll be a long day that day. 300 miles, and we have to get to Sapulpa about 6 o'clock in the evening. So see how many people actually stick around and watch the whole movie, which I don't care if they do or not, but I want those people to pack in there and experience that many race cars watching that movie on Route 66. And then once we get them in there, we can get their token. They're free to leave. So it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, it will not be an early cruise. It'll be a later in the afternoon cruise.
Well,
I
that'll
just
work
think
out. That'll work out perfect for me.
I just think the photo opportunities for that are going to be incredible too.
Yeah,
I
that's kind
imagine some drones will probably be up there getting some overhead shots too.
of, me being in sales, that's kind of how I sold that place on this ideal. I was like, man, what kind of marketing better would it be to have 300 cool ass cars with a line of people coming out, and you get those pictures, and those are your proprietary, property. That's what I told them. You guys can use those for marketing, because not only is King of the Open Road going on in that day, that's also our Cruising Oklahoma event for April. It kicks our year off.
Cool.
So we're going to have a couple hundred Cruising Oklahoma cars plus 200, 300 race cars. I mean, we very could have 500 to 600 cars on this cruise.
Man,
Wow.
It truly is one of the coolest events that's out there. All right, dude. Thank you again so much. We appreciate you guys for everything you do for the sport, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, bye-bye.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, that dude is one of my favorite people in all of drag and drive and all of the car community. He really, truly, deeply cares about the entire sport, and it's really apparent with when you attend an event like
Yeah.
King of the Open Road. And a lot of the stuff we do is modeled after what I see him do. Or I mean, I'm telling you, riding in that car that day changed the whole way everything worked. So,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right,
here's the problem. Here's the problem is that day job I got keeps getting
yeah,
in the way of me attending all these cool events. Because
bro, I'm
now
telling you.
now I kind of want to go to that one as well, and my
Yeah.
weekends are getting filled up pretty quick.
Well, you could here's can you work remote from your job and you just stay after the circuit, and because it's the next weekend, so you could just stay here and then
Oh,
we just cruise over together on Friday. All right.
you're killing me.
Yep. All right, guys. Listen, here's the deal. Gentlemen's agreement. We love what we do. We love bringing this kind of stuff to you, but guys, it takes a ton of time and a lot of money to do this. So the gentleman's agreement is we'll continue to do this, but guys, we ask that you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're watching this now or in the future. So just do that for us. We want to say thank you for all the support that you've given us so far. And guys, we can't do it without our race car friends, man. I know I say it a lot, but listen, you guys truly do make the biggest difference for all of us. Eric, why don't you run down through our sponsors and then we'll bring on Nick.
Yep. Thank you, Summit Racing, Driven, Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cam, Performabuilt Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk.
Man, that's a big list, and it's going to be growing. And we've got some fun stuff that's working still, even though we are getting late in the year already. I can't believe it. So
Yeah, I mean, looking at that picture, there's definitely still room around the edges for more sponsors. So, anybody out there listening that wants to jump in, we got room for you.
that's exactly right. All right, well, let's bring on Nick now. Let me kind of give you guys a little bit of backstory. I had no idea who this dude is. I'm standing in line at one of the route stops on sick week, and I've got the big camera. Him and Frankie are standing two down. He's got a big camera. We're instant buddies. He didn't know yet, but I was going to end up sitting at the table with them and learned a lot in the 12 minutes that we sat there waiting on pizzas. But Mr. Nick, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what you got going on, dude.
Okay, yeah, name's Nick Leonard. And before we get to that, I think it's worth mentioning, Mike, that you and I had the same exact pizza order. A pepperoni and a meat stuffed. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it worked out well. And then when mine came, he was like, I think that's ours. And I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, that was so crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, Nick Leonard, formerly of Side by Side Blog, does a channel I started back in 2015. At the end of 2023, no longer with those guys, and now doing Race Rebuild Repeat with Frankie J, who I'm pretty sure is in the comment section as No Limit. That's the name of his YouTube channel.
Nice. Awesome. Well, you guys were a blast to hang out with. And again, like met on sick week. This was your first drag and drive.
Yep.
Dude, let's start way back. I gotta know, was 11-year-old Nick, was he a car guy? Have you always been a car guy?
Okay, so never told this to anyone. I wish I got these out of the garage. I should have thought about this. I've been a car guy forever. Like, I don't know, I don't remember the name of the website, but there used to be a website that listed like the performance specs of every car ever, right? Like you could look up whatever you wanted. And I started idolizing these cars that were really quick, right? Like at the time, like the fastest 0 to 60 was like McLaren F1 and, like all these crazy, weird, like Porsche Le Mans 962 Dower edition or something. And I had wrote all these names of these cars on notebooks that I had for school back when I was spelling things like horribly wrong. So probably like third or fourth grade. And I've been a car guy forever. Like one of my earliest car memories is watching a friend of my dad's. His name was Cammy. He had a 66 like baby blue GTO. He would come over, and then when he left, he would do a burnout. And I would like run out to the road to touch the hot asphalt and be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So from that point, it was like car guy for life.
That's
So
awesome.
does that dude still have cool cars?
Cammy's probably dead, brother. he had white hair when I was like 4 years old, so that was
Oh yeah,
30-some years ago. Cammy's probably gone. I lost
Cammy,
contact
thanks,
with that
bro.
guy. Yeah, but he did inspire me, and I'm sure a lot of other kids my age too, just doing what he liked, doing burnouts.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. What was your first car?
So first car ever. So the first car I ever purchased, I worked at Taco Bell, and my dad agreed to co-sign on a loan for a '96 S Series Blazer. So four
Oh
by
man,
four, 4-door, and it was on eBay, which is super weird. So this is probably like 2004, 2003 ish. And it actually had like a really crappy supercharger on it. It was the brand was called Powerdyne. It was just like, maybe you've heard of it, maybe not, but it wasn't gear to gear internally. It had like a belt in it internally,
oh
and
gee,
it was like a not nice supercharger, but it was centrifugal supercharger, and it was pretty cool, and it was tuned by some local shop, and it was slow as hell, but I loved it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
that's awesome. Well, that was my next question: was what's the first car that you modified? And that answers that right there.
Yeah, there was this brand. I'm sure it's still a brand that supports this supercharger company. It's called 928 Motorsports, and they sell smaller pulleys for the Powerdyne supercharger. And that was the first thing I did. Right, like let's get this sucker making some boost. So I got like a 2.6-inch pulley for it, and immediately made like 14 pounds of boost. And then internally, the supercharger failed. It ended up putting the impeller into the housing and blew chunks of impeller into the intake. Luckily, I was able just to unhook the whole thing and then just drove it NA after that. But that was
Oh,
like my first modifying
you
experience.
you just thought it was slow.
Oh, it definitely was slow the whole time. It was at the drag strip one time. I think it ran like a 15.3 or something. It was bad.
That's great. That is great.
So, what's your current fleet of vehicles that you own today?
Well, I'm no J Rod. All right. I heard his
Dude,
list, and I'm like, is this
woo!
gonna stop? Like, what the hell, brother?
I feel highly inadequate.
Yeah, I know, seriously. So what do I have right now? Probably best to think about what I just got rid of. So I just got rid of a 2008 SRT8 Jeep. That was something that I bought that was really cool. It had this like Hennessy performance package on it, like a heads and cam performance package. It was like the
Nice.
older WK1 NA, like the first gen
Yeah.
SRT8 Jeep. Just got rid of that to fund Race Rebuild Repeat. Turns out takes money to do Sick Week. Who would have thought? But yeah, we'll start from like the slowest thing. Have a 2012 Chevy Volt.
Oh,
Pretty cool.
Okay.
Pretty much
interesting.
bought it in
You
14s. Pretty much totally ruined at this point.
nice. You and watch JR go, man. He loves his. He loves his Volt.
Yeah, the first gen Volt ran into some problem, like 120,000 miles, where there was a fault in the wiring system, and now it doesn't charge. It doesn't have ABS, doesn't have traction control. It doesn't do anything. It just runs on the gas motor, and that's it. So
Yeah, there you
not
go.
a good car. I have a 2012 Lincoln MKT EcoBoost 3.5.
Okay.
Kind of weird, kind of like a
Yeah.
hearse, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the wife's old car that I'm now dailying. Getting to the cool stuff. I got an 88 Caprice wagon, actually. That
Yes.
pretty badass. Olds 307 quadrajet carb. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Nice.
Believe it or not.
CA keep carbs alive. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I have a friend named Jason who's going to rebuild the carb at some point for me. But Frankie actually found that on the side of the road, and it was from I think Tennessee or Kentucky, rust free, like really really nice. It's got
Yeah.
torque thrust wheels on it. It's painted like candy, kind of cherry red. So really
Nice.
like that thing. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with it, but do something cool. I don't know, like LS swap or I don't know.
There we go.
Yeah, we'll see what comes with that. And then next thing I have 93 Typhoon, GMC Typhoon. Pretty cool car.
Oh yeah.
Bought that early last year. And then also early last year, I bought a 91 GMC Cyclone. And that's what brought me here to this channel. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually walking through of course, cyclones are pretty rare whenever you start looking at drag and drive stuff. And so I immediately sent it to my race car friends, buddies chat, and everybody lost their mind. So of course,
really?
they just grew, and I had to talk to you. And then, now we're here.
Yeah, I had a pretty bad interview. I didn't know the mic was so like sensitive. I really blew that sucker out in the interview. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't mean
Hey,
that.
listen, I was trying. It's funny that that mic is so sensitive to even volume.
Yeah.
Now it's like control on the camera itself. If you just one mistake, and that's what happened, man. I tried
Yeah.
to clean it up as much as I could, but hey, that's the way it works.
It's all right, man. We'll have another
Yeah.
opportunity, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the Cyclone's been real transformative. It was kind of like one of those you don't want to meet your heroes thing. Like right when I got it, I didn't know how to work on it. There was all sorts of things that like are not new school, right? Like
Yep.
the ECU has a turbo tweak. It's a prom. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what prom means.
Like, does that mean that you gotta like burn the chip? You gotta take the chip out and put it in a computer, and then do your things, and then put it back in there?
Literally, someone's doing
Yeah.
that. It's not me, but someone is doing that. But yeah, it's been a really cool truck, and obviously taking it on a drag and drive is kind of scary. Like it doesn't even have a dent in it anywhere. So,
Wow,
but
and it's super low miles.
yeah, it's got 65,000 on it now, but I bought it with 61, and I actually drove it to Michigan from New York, like upstate New York when I bought it. So it was like a 14-hour drive.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So like, buy it low miles. I'm driving.
Yeah, and it was in February. Like so many people in the community were very unhappy with that decision. And I guess hindsight, bad idea, but I felt like it was like a vice grip garagey kind of situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
How long have you had the Typhoon and the Cyclone?
So I used to have a Ram TRX, which was awesome, like badass truck, right? But horrible daily driver, like
Yeah.
almost the worst daily driver ever. Just because it's so bad on fuel. Like it's
Yeah.
you get 10 miles to the gallon, you're filling up all the time. I spent like $150 a week on gas because I, was driving back and forth to work. And when I sold that, I had a little bit of equity. And also, and that's when I bought the Typhoon. But then I was helping out a friend of mine for a long time with some money stuff that they had going on. And they came into some money and then repaid me back all the money that I gave them over the course of like 6 years. So
Nice.
I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting to get 30 grand. What am I going to buy? Cyclone,
Right.
done. Like,
Yeah.
don't pay any of my outstanding student loan debt. Don't do anything responsible. Like, let's buy a
Yeah.
freaking Cyclone, brother. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
you had the Typhoon. You had to have the Cyclone.
well, I had the Cyclone first, right? And so I bought the Cyclone in February. I bought the Typhoon in like, I don't know, I forget what it was, March or April or something.
Oh yeah. So
But when I had the Cyclone, I sat in it. And I said, I don't fit in this truck, but I was already there. I'm in upstate New York. I flew in. I'm
Yep.
driving 14 hours home. Like, I don't have a choice, dude.
yeah, that
Nice.
makes sense completely.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I got a buddy that used to live in the town that I live in, but now he moved. He's out in Tennessee, but he also has a Cyclone and a Typhoon.
Dude, hell yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, the Typhoon's definitely way more comfortable. The seats lean back. The 93 has a different set of seats than the 92. So, like, they're just wider. They don't have as much bolstering. They didn't really understand bolstering in 1991, turns out. So for me, like the bolster for your head is like in the middle of my back. So I'm sitting there like this, trying to drive it. And if I sit like this, I can't see out of it. So I got to go like this. I end up looking like Edgar from friggin' Men in Black, dude. It's not good.
And so you put 800 miles on it during sick week.
Yeah.
Why did you take the Typhoon on sick week?
So the Typhoon had a massive oil leak, and that one's like totally stock. So I figured it would be like way slower. The Cyclone's got a little bit of mods, but like the Typhoon was leaking oil like every time you started it. We're talking maybe a quart a minute. Something was wrong with the remote oil filter adapter, and it was just coming right out. So didn't want to risk that.
Right. So why did you guys choose sick week to kick off your drag and drive experience?
Yeah, for me, it was just an idea to kick off the entire YouTube channel, right? So a lot of the automotive community is in Florida, friends with Cletus, friends with all the people down in Florida. And, I really wanted an excuse to get down there, kind of escape the weather in Michigan. And when you get down into that area and there's all those things going on, the ability to create content is off the charts. Like everything's happening, and it just made sense. And Frank, I'm sure who's watching right now, we were actually supposed to take his 05 Magnum that he bought. It's a Hemi. And right before we left, we took it to a tuner. There was an unfortunate issue with the control module being unplugged. And when the tuner tuned it, it like disconnected the transmission from the control module. and they just didn't, come back together. So it was stuck in limp mode. And then I'm like, okay, we got to take something else. I have this Cyclone in storage. Let's get it out and fix it up and take it.
Well, everybody loves the Thrash.
Yeah, the Thrash. I didn't even want to do the Thrash. The whole idea was like, let's take a cheap Hemi and road trip it to Sick Week, but it just didn't work out that way. But I think the way it did work out was as good as it could be.
Yeah. Well, you got to go into a little more depth because I was actually cracking up when I was listening to the Cooper podcast about how the Magnum actually had that issue of that connector being unplugged and the fuse and what was purchased and from where to get to that point.
Well, let me first apologize to Frank. Sorry, Frank.
You can blame it on me.
He's late night searching Temu, right? We all saw the Super Bowl commercials. They call it Temu now, but last year it was Temu. So I don't know what's what, but he's searching Temu. They give you 97,000% off your first purchase. So he's buying all sorts of stuff. He buys underglow for the car, which is kind of ironically cool now, I guess.
Yep, it's coming back.
It was cool in the early 2000s. Now it's back, man. It's like this cycle. Just
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Corona, right? I'm channeling my inner Dominic Toretto here with the Corona, but he buys the underglow from Temu for 6 cents or whatever, and he puts it on in secret, and he's going to surprise me with it. When he wires it up, he wires it to the fuse for the front control module, which is just like a random 15 amp fuse. It doesn't look that important, and of course the underglow failed, and it was stuck on. And so when we were at the tuner, I don't know why he thought to turn it off when it was on the dyno, but to turn it off, he just pulled the fuse. And then it just disconnected the front control module to the trans.
Oh man! Did you realize that at that point?
Dude, hell no! We had no clue what was going on. We were so excited.
Unplugs the underglow, and you're like, "Why won't this thing connect?"
Well, it had problems too, because he's doing these giant one tire fires, with it because it's a Hemi, but it's got an open rear end, so it'll just bake one tire off, and sometimes it goes into limp mode, and also the cruise control doesn't work. So there's obviously some sort of problem going on with this thing. So when it was failing on the dyno, it was like, okay, all right, maybe there's something related to that. I had no clue it had to do with the front control module being disconnected. So stupid, but that's the story for you.
Dude, Underglow is coming back, man. It's great. I would have loved to seen you guys pull up in that, but let's be honest, dude, you wouldn't have got as much attention in the Magnum. It would have been fun, and it would have been way more comfortable. But it was worth it to me for you guys to be uncomfortable for the week.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm so happy we did it. And the best part about it is I think it created a better story, right? Because the Cyclone required a ton of work. We took it to this really cool shop north of Tampa that does Cyclones and Typhoons only. It's called Sport Machines LLC. They had 22 Cyclones and Typhoons on property that they're working on. And the guy, when I called him and told him what we were doing, he was pretty pissed, right? And Frank's like, I would have hung up on that guy. I'm like, no, I don't want to hang up on him. I think he knows what he's doing. So we took it there, and literally it was a 13-hour day getting this thing completely ready. And the truck is 10 times better than it's ever been. So not only now do I have a properly running Cyclone that I couldn't have fixed myself, but created some great memories on the drag and drive as well.
Well, and you got to meet. I mean, let's be honest. The dude that worked on that thing had to be the knowledge. He was a book. All the stuff that was on. I can't imagine that guy probably gets as nerdy about that stuff or more than I do about the drag and drive stats.
It's unbelievable the amount of information there is about vehicles that were built for 2 years. So the Cyclone was 91 only, and the Typhoon was 92, 93. But there's so much lore surrounding these within GM, within dealers. There's all sorts of rumors. There's potential things that could have happened. There's things that did happen. There's so much info just surrounding those two vehicles. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's intense. So it gave you a pretty good, made you feel good about owning both of them. I can only imagine that would be, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm cool.
Yeah, and what I said on Cooper's podcast was, man, I was totally fine with having them and just letting them sit in a garage forever. I'll drive them, they'll run crappy. I'll be like, all right, whatever. I'll just look at them. But then couldn't do that anymore, unfortunately. So I had to, actually use them. And turns out it's just way better to drive the cars you have than to look at them. I'm sure anyone watching can agree with that.
Yep, 100%. Was that the guy that you had said that had like every bolt available for those vehicles?
Yeah, his name is Tom, and he has everything. Like I'm sure, I don't know if he's broken down total trucks or has just accumulated it over time, or I don't know how we got these, but like literally he has diagrams and bins that have bolts for every piece of the vehicle, no matter where you're looking. Because, obviously the bolts are very similar throughout, let's say, body mounts or whatever,
Yeah.
but some are longer than others. So to have the proper bolt, you need to know where it's coming from. And he just has everything laid out in a way that's beyond my ability to do.
So anybody that's listening that has one of those vehicles, that's the guy they need to get in touch with.
It's almost impossible to not know the guy. Like he owns all of the Facebook groups. He's the admin for like the old forums that no one really uses anymore. He
Yeah.
puts on the big Cyclone Typhoon meet at the Carlisle
Mhm.
Truck Show. Like he is the guy. Like if you don't know Tom, like you're living under a rock.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just really kind of a cool setup though. Like, cause you're down there, you choose to bring that one. Obviously, you're down there and you're like, hey, listen, we're close enough to this guy that, like, I mean, that in itself adds to the story. That you had Tom work on it.
Yeah, like it's like anything. It's like if maybe this is a little bit overshooting it, but let's say you crack the screen on your iPhone and Steve Jobs fixed it. That's kind of how it felt to me,
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
Yep.
got the guy working on this thing, and it was such a humbling experience to know that someone knows that much about a
Yep.
particular product. Like obviously he lives and breathes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you had mentioned there was a lot of work that needed to be done. What all had to be fixed before you could take it on sick week?
Well, so I had basically maybe 10 minutes because I was very, very busy last year managing Side by Side blog before I left. And I never really got a chance to look at the truck and figure out how to, like, what was wrong with it, right? It was breaking up in the high RPMs. It would randomly throw a check engine light, like flashing, which means you have knock retard. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with this thing. I would fill it up with 110 octane once in a while, and then it wouldn't do it anymore. So I thought, okay, something got spicy in the tuning or whatever. So before we left, we loaded it up and it wouldn't make boost at all. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a huge problem. So I'm looking at it. It has like an ancient map sensor that's a 3-bar, and it came with 2-bar from the factory. And the only car that came with 3-bar from the factory was the 89 Turbo Trans Am that had a Grand National motor in it. So we found a dealer that had one of these in stock. Turns out Sport Machines in Florida had like 100 map sensors that were 3-bar, right? But we didn't know that at the time. So we went to this random dealership in Kentucky called McFarland Chevrolet. Turns out they have like a ton of badass cars there, and got the map sensor. It made boost, and I thought I was good. But when I took it down to Sport Machines, turns out it needed so many things. Like the diaphragm on the fuel pressure regulator was leaking, so it was filling the vacuum lines with gas. And then that was making its way back into the intake and then ruining any sensor that was hooked up to the vacuum line. And like the plug wires were wrong, the plug gap was wrong, the intercooler was leaking internally, so I was just sucking in coolant into the motor. I had no idea, and there was just a ton of little random things that were fixed, and it went from like a jalopy, but it's a Cyclone, but it's a jalopy, to like a real like badass truck when we were done with it.
Yes, that's cool, man.
Yep.
Sweet. You ran in the D class at sick week, which is
Unfortunately.
1150 and up, right? So what did it run during
So
the week?
we were trying to go off idle just for consistency, right? Brake boosting on those is tough. The brake system's crappy. The vacuum system's crappy. So we were just going off idle, and we were shooting for like a 13.0. So our dial in after day one was 13.04. We, I think, placed 8th in the class, which was pretty good. Top
Pretty
10.
awesome. Yeah.
But Gainesville screwed us, man. Like when you're D class, you get maybe 3 runs total, right? So you get 2 during the time
If
of the call.
well, yeah, I was gonna say you get 3 runs if you wait till the last second of the day. You know what I mean? Like if you're one of the last cars making a pass, you're getting 3 maybe.
Yeah, that's what's rough about it. So we were shooting for that 13.04. Like I said, I think our spread was 0.93 at the end, which was pretty decent. It was good enough to place 8th, which didn't get us anything. But the final day, we got some Q16 from VP, and I tried to turn the boost up but it didn't work. But Frank, who was the driver during the entire week, he boost launched it and ran it to a 12:54. So that was
Wow,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yep,
Nice.
half-second gain just from a boost launch. So that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Right. His foot's on the brake. Please hold, please hold, please
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah, you got to do this thing where you pull up, so you got to double bulb, right? Which no one likes double bulb in the other guy. But you have to go up, you double bulb, you put it in neutral, you rev it up, build some vacuum, and while you're doing that, you're pumping the brakes. On your final rev, you hold the brake, and then you can finally get into the brake boosting procedure. Otherwise, it just pushes through the brakes.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I do want to know, did other people how did everybody else receive the cyclone that was down there? Were you guys just covered up with folks all the time?
Probably 90% of the time, there was either someone looking at it or talking about it, which was awesome. Like,
Yep.
I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. We gained a couple of friends, obviously, you, Mike, on the whole deal, just from a random pizza encounter, not so much the cyclone, but
Yeah.
it's just so many people like seeing it. A lot of people said, oh, my uncle had one, or my brother had one, or my friend's dad had one, and just kind of really felt the nostalgia of seeing that truck again, because it is something you don't see very often, which is cool.
Right.
And it's a clean example too, which is nice.
Sorry, I'm looking up here to see. It literally is the first picture I took at Sick Week. The first vehicle picture. It's
No
not.
way.
I took some videos of other cars, but it's the first picture I took down there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I see
Yeah, it's
Frank.
pretty crazy.
Frank's commenting the coat. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a big story.
Yes, dude.
So,
Yes. Tell us about the coat.
all right, so there's two coats in question. First one, not that exciting. I highly overpaid for like an old school Cyclone coat that, I don't know, came from a dealer or something. It's like, it looks like something Danny Tanner would wear from Full House. Like, this
Yes.
thing sucks. The colors,
like denim and then green
Yeah.
sleeves or something. Yeah.
it's all faded. Like, it's so bad. And a guy named Ian reached out to us, and he's like, I got this other Cyclone coat. I want to send it to you, and Frank can wear the coat. And of course, it's like this. It looks like the Heartbeat of America coats that you see. It's like
Yeah.
perfect condition, right? It's black. It has a red Cyclone embroidery in it. And he sent it to us in Gainesville, and we got it at the end of the day. And Frank ripped the coat the whole time. Like, he
Dude.
loved it, dude. It worked
Yes.
so good.
It was great. There's a small part in the video that you can see it, and man, I'm telling you, that thing that made the week. That made the whole. I would think like now that thing needs to hang on a hanger in the truck. You know.
Yeah, I feel like the coat is just not even mine. Like, when the truck goes away, if it ever does, like, the coat goes with it. Like, it belongs to the truck.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, Hidden Motorsports here saying the Airbnb you stayed in was mint.
Carl's out here. He told me he was going to be just typing crap, and I feel like he's doing a great job at doing it.
Yeah.
You know, he did get me an Airbnb for Cletus and Cars in April. So thanks, Carl. Really appreciate that. He's a legendary guy.
Oh yeah, we love that guy. He took care. I'll tell this story. He took care of us at Cletus and Cars when we drove our my NARCS cart from Northwest Arkansas to Indy, and I bought pit passes. I thought that meant I could park the car in the pits. Nope, did not mean that. And so, you know, him and I have been talking because I took a death cart, right? And so I run up. I'm like, dude, can I park up here by you? That's the whole reason we drove this car 800 miles to get here. You know, he's like, no problem. And then my brother ends up helping him change the heads on the car and all kinds of cool stuff. It was a great weekend.
Yeah,
That was the first weekend we met too in person.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, dang, dude. I feel like Carl's bringing everyone together right now. He doesn't even know.
Right.
Klaus the Barbarian. Who would have thought that it was going to be that? Well,
seriously.
So everybody kind of fangirled, I would imagine. And then how did you guys feel at the end of the week? You made it. Like, what was the Friday vibe?
Friday vibe was just so badass. Like, we stayed all the way to the bitter end. We watched the trophy ceremony. Some people left that I was going to see during the weekend, so I actually got to bring a trophy with me. It was nice. James' trophy for getting second place in the 275 class. So it was cool to take a trophy, even though it wasn't mine. It was cool to have one. But like the relief after you complete a drag and drive, even in D class, which I know isn't the coolest class, but just the relief of finishing that is something I've not felt before. Like,
yeah.
It was a long week. It was so much driving, crappy hotels, right? Because like we're booking last minute because I'm thinking the truck's going to break. So I'm not going to book the Hampton Inn 3 days out. I'm going to book the Super 8 2 hours before. And just everything about it was just really, really enjoyable. I just don't think there's any way we don't do one again. Like, they're so cool.
Well, that's good to hear. And Eric is the 3 day ahead. Yeah, he wants to book a
Smart.
hotel. But dude, I'm the same. I'm like, no, listen, we don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow. Well, something's gonna break. Somebody's gonna break. We're gonna end up having to go back and rescue somebody. I'm not booking hotels till 11 o'clock at night and hoping we find one within 50 miles.
Dude, yeah, that is, man, when we stayed in Georgia, we stayed in it was north of Valdosta somewhere, but man, a local guy was trying to break in to all the rooms there, and he knocked on the door, and the police showed up, and Frank went outside to get something out of the truck at the time, and he comes back in, he's like, we got to get out of here, dude. There's a dude trying to break in. I'm like, I'm trying to edit video, bro. Like, we got to do something. We ended up staying there, and we were all good, but
yeah. Chris is right here saying Georgia was so rough.
Some people got the Hampton Inn, which I assume was nice, or stayed in, I don't know if it was Valdosta or whatever the town was, but if you stayed in town, it was okay. But north where we stayed was, I would say, not nice.
Yeah, Frankie said, we're leaving.
That's what he said.
That's great. Well, let's stay on the YouTube topic for a second, because I want people to understand, like, you coming in, obviously you've edited thousands of videos in the past. You have a pretty good process. You know what's going on.
Yep.
But talk to us about your editing process for Sick Week. Like, did you record all day and then try and edit a daily video? And then how late did you stay up at night?
Yeah, so the editing process, I knew I couldn't compete with some people, right? So the Cyclone didn't have, of course, okay, I'll back up. So of course I use like a gaming computer to edit on, right? It's Windows based. I tried the Mac thing. It just doesn't work for me and my workflow. So I have like this it's like a 2018 gaming computer. So it requires like 400 watts of power, which of course the cigarette lighter on the Cyclone's not going to do.
No.
So while we're on the road, I can edit on the battery, which lasts like maybe 40 minutes, and then I'm cooked until we get to a hotel room. So I already knew I wasn't going to be able to keep up with like the editing team that Tom Bailey had, or 1320 or Garrett. So I kind of went about it a little bit different. I wanted to document more of the drive and more of the things that you see during the drive, as opposed to just like really hammering the drag race content, because I knew I couldn't keep up, right? So it's important to kind of throw a different spin on the content. And just create a story out of it, create a story arc, talk about what's going to happen the next time they tune in, and kind of leave them hanging a little bit. But I think I finished the entire week's content that following Sunday or Monday. So I wasn't like a week behind, but I definitely wasn't day by day. But I was staying up late. So
yeah, it's pretty intense to try and keep.
Yeah.
Even just moving the footage you take to a hard drive, like just moving it from your camera or your phone or whatever is hard, because I can't imagine what that would be like in a regular cab pickup with a tonneau cover. And I wish I had pictures of all the stuff that you guys had, because it was everything. Dude, that entire bed had to be filled.
Dude, I don't know. Like, Frank brought a cutoff wheel. Like I get it, but like, do we really need the cutoff wheel? And of course it had like the 8 amp hour battery. It was a Milwaukee, right? So it had the big battery. And it was just that entire mentality throughout everything that we brought. Like, we brought nice rocking chairs so we can sit in. We brought a little table from Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
And we were on the bump stops like literally the whole time. Like, I think we were over the bed's capacity. And then you add us in the cab, like it was full bump stop the whole way. So it was a rough ride for sure.
Yeah.
I tell you though, the cutoff wheel is a multifunctional tool when you're on the road like that, though.
True.
So
If you need to like make fire, sparks, you got that.
Well, hey, at some point you may have needed to shave those bump stops down.
The worst part is like when I was getting the work done at Sport Machines, the Friday before we were doing stuff, he's like telling me all these things that it needs, and I'm bleeding dry at this point on money. And like the important stuff, intercooler, tune-up, fuel pressure regulator, injector, like all these things. I'm like, okay, I need that. He's like, you ain't got much left on your bump stops. I'm like, dude, I don't give a crap, which was obviously a huge mistake because we rode on them the entire time.
Yeah, you should have spent $82 and bought new post tops.
It was just
Well,
it was
I was
just
gonna say
adding
probably
up.
from Tom they'd have been 300 or so. You're like, these are special. These are new. These are NOS parts. You're fixing to ruin them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yep.
Frank makes a good point here in the chat too. So we had the
Yes.
tools, so we didn't need them. That's how it works.
Yes. Well,
Yep.
that is exactly how drag and drop works. 100% for sure.
The worst part about the whole thing is, so I run the truck on Valvoline VR1 because I feel like old motor needs some sort of zinc, right? Whatever.
Okay.
And it needed a quart of oil, but it was so far into bed that we just ended up going to an O'Reilly's and buying a quart. So what we brought, we didn't even need any of it. Like it was pretty silly.
That's awesome. Well, next time you'll pack less and you'll need more. It'll be great, man. You'll have the Magnum fix, and it'll be on.
Yeah, it'll need everything.
Or you'll pull a trailer and you'll put more in it than you even needed.
I saw a lot of that. I think I saw a 240 pulling like a 14-foot trailer. Did you guys see that sucker?
Oh,
what
yeah.
was that about?
Dude, I love the trailer game. Like
Yeah.
it has like completely just gone nuts. So I'm sure you saw the Van Halen trailer by Andrew Taylor. Like
Yeah.
I love all the different stuff that people bring. And part of the route for the circuit, if everybody doesn't know, didn't see the picture the other day, there's a dude that has like a 73 or 4 Nova and has chopped off behind the back glass, and he's building like a drag and drive trailer out of that. So I'm like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's badass. I feel like that's such a unique thing. Like there was a dude, and I don't know old cars very well. Maybe it was an old Ford, an old Chevy, but he had the boat behind him, like the old John boat.
Yes.
Dude, that was so cool.
Yeah. That was Michael Heston in that Gasser pickup truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of those guys. Yeah, we've got a video coming out with them here pretty soon. And so, yeah, actually, this is him right here, the Bucket List Mob.
Well, that's him?
Yeah, that's him.
No way, dude.
Awesome.
That was the best trailer of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I loved it. Loved their whole story, whole crew.
He said, I thought we should bring a 110 welder. I told the guys if we bring it, we won't need it. They said they didn't want to bring it. Guess what? 5D. We needed it.
Ain't that the truth, man?
Yep, that's exactly right. It's pretty intense, and I hope that some of the folks, because dude, I mean, you guys crossed 31,000 subscribers on your channel.
Yeah.
I hope that the growth that you guys have seen, I hope that kind of comes over. We're going to see more people into the drag and drive community because of y'all's experience. I think because you guys had a great one. I think it shows that everybody can have a good time no matter the ET.
Yeah, that's totally the case too. And I think like what J Rod was saying earlier makes sense. Like the classes that have the slower cars in it are for the people, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone can afford to have even a 9-second car that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know. And having these like 12, 13, 14-second cars and really just getting out there, they're going to feed the entire event. So the event's only going to get better the more people you have.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what I was saying earlier about Rocky Mountain Race Week. I like that they allow veteran racers to come back from the year before. They get early access. So it becomes very easy to create a family atmosphere because you're literally bringing 70% of the people from last year. You're bringing them back. They're coming back and racing. So it's pretty awesome, man. I love it. And we see that a lot at Sick Week. And now that there's 30 events, I get to see my race car friends a lot more often. But early on, you didn't really get to do that. So.
Yeah, when I first heard of Drag and Drive, I think Rocky Mountain Race Week or Drag Week, is it Hot Rod that puts that on? Hot Rod?
Yep.
That was the first time I heard of anything like that, and a couple friends that I had did them like a long time ago. I thought, man, that's just crazy. I don't think that'll catch on. But after doing one, it's like, oh, holy crap. It's like a rolling car show.
Yeah.
And then you get to see the cars go fast. You just don't get to see them sit there and, hey, don't touch this. It's like, no, these cars are going to drive on the street and they're going to rip. Like it's transformative for the drag race community, in my opinion.
Yep. I love it. And it gives people a reason. Like there's a lot of like COVID was bad in a lot of aspects, but really it now that it's over and people are back out in the world, like people want to do fun stuff. And it's a perfect thing for car guys and girls to be able to do that. Well, let's talk about the Typhoon. I want to jump back onto that for a second, because that is like my jam. I had a 2-door S10 Blazer in high school.
Sweet.
It had a V8 in it, so it wasn't as cool as a Typhoon, but it was a lot of fun. That rig was. I always threaten that I'm going to rebuild that thing. But like, what are the plans for it? Are you gonna do some mod sit, or is it one of those things that's gonna, hey, let's almost kind of keep it stock and let it appreciate in value?
None of those plans are what's going to happen, actually. So, when I was managing Side by Side blog, like the biggest revenue generator was giveaways, right? Sweepstakes.
Yep.
You see all the big channels doing it, and that's what we're going to do with the Typhoon. That's the first time I'm saying it publicly here, but
wow.
yeah, that's what's going to happen with that. So I don't have timing on that. It's really difficult to source proper merch and designs and fulfillment. Like these are all things that I'm starting off fresh with. So yeah, that's a lot of work to do, but I think that's the plan with the Typhoon is to kind of give it back to someone. And it is like bone stock down to, a functioning EGR, which is like the first thing you get rid of if anyone, modifies these things. So I think that's going to be a fun way to give back to some people that want to support us. There's a lot of people asking for merch already. So might as well give them an excuse to buy it and give away a really nice vehicle. So,
well, I know I'll be buying some for sure.
Yeah,
I appreciate
need a Typhoon in my life.
Dude, it's really nice too. It's been repainted and someone really took care of the body on it when they repainted it. Like it's straight and it's gloss black, not only on the body, but on the cladding too, which is like a really cool look on those.
Nice.
Eric here's asking how many entries for an R3 tattoo.
I don't know, brother. You have to read the rules, dude. I don't know.
Please,
we'll put in a special clause or something.
I was gonna say, please, sweet baby Jesus, give us a R3 tattoo clause on the number of Typhoon tickets.
Could you imagine how many people would actually go do that though? You know what I mean? Like
so when you do sweepstakes, like, so I ran 9 or 10 of them and like, I have my head wrapped around it pretty good. There's this thing called an alternative method of entry. And that's like the mail-in entry, that's the no purchase necessary. And you can put in there whatever the hell you want. Like you could say, show me a picture of your tattoo and you'll get 100 entries. Like that's a real thing.
Wow.
So I don't think that is like I think we could do that. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, Eric's in. Eric Scott, not Eric White. Eric Scott is in.
Hey, I'm in too.
Perfect.
You guys are nuts.
Yeah. That's awesome. Eric Scott said he'll sign a contract at Burnout Rivals.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, we try and keep this about 2 hours. So let's kind of get to what's up next, man. What are you guys going to be doing?
Yeah. So I think, when you start a YouTube channel, maybe you had an idea in mind for what you're doing. Obviously, given the name, it's pretty obvious you're doing what you want to do here. But we didn't really know what was going to work or what was going to hit. The car stuff is where I've been my entire life. Getting into the side by sides was just a cool way to experience what I wanted to experience in a vehicle that I couldn't afford. Mm-hmm. But now side by sides are, they're more expensive than vehicles at this point.
Yeah.
The first one I bought was $8,000, right? First side by side, and I had just as much fun as ones I paid $50,000 for. So it's kind of a weird thing. And so so now, we're not like, me and Frank aren't like genius workers on things. Like I had other people fixing my stuff for a long time. So kind of getting back into the ropes of working on stuff. So we're calling it Two Morons Garage just as a joke.
Nice.
But I think, if I was to put a number on it, probably 50% automotive and 50% power sports. So not just side by sides, but, ATVs, dirt bikes, anything else that's not car related.
Yeah. That's cool. So some jet skis. Can we get some vintage jet skis in there?
Dude, I got jet skis. Like, super fun to drive. In terms of making videos, almost impossible.
Yeah. I can't imagine. You have to like run into something for a jet ski video to do anything, I would imagine.
It's like anything,
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're like in torrential winds and downpour and there's huge waves, like maybe that could be cool, but it's hard to really share those type of experiences on video.
The life of a YouTuber.
I know. She's tough, dude.
That's right. Well, so that's kind of the channel. What about for the cars?
I don't really know. So today we actually just filmed a video with a place called DNR Customs. So that's ran by a gentleman named Derek Rose. And he, believe it or not, owns the world's fastest 4-wheel drive diesel truck. So I don't know about fastest, but you get the quickest, fastest thing. It runs like 440s in the 8th, which is big time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he holds the record on that. So we went to his shop and he showed us some pretty crazy diesel trucks. Almost put one into a ditch, which was pretty wild. But I think we're going to do a diesel burnout truck. I know JH Diesel for like the Burnout Rivals events with Cletus. He couldn't make a diesel truck work, and Derek's pretty confident that if we just get him the right truck, he can make it work. So that's sort of the hope moving forward, is to have a badass diesel truck to do some burnouts in and have some fun with. But
so after this, I'll introduce you to Danny Diesel, who's kind of a good friend of Daniel Green, and he's a big diesel guy. So maybe that'll kind of help too. You know,
I could use all the help we could get. For sure.
I mean, like that guy understands diesel stuff way more than I do, and so you guys probably have a good head on your shoulders for finding the people that can help with that. But Danny's a good access for that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Frank used to be big in the diesel truck game back in the day. He had a shop that did diesel performance and a lot of like undercoating stuff for bodies. So he's worked his way into the diesel truck stuff. He's always loved diesel trucks, and I've never been in a fast one until today. And I don't know if you guys been in a fast diesel truck before, but
mind
what the hell,
dude! Like, and it doesn't stop. It's a train that's going really fast. Like it just doesn't stop pulling. You know, gasoline stuff will kind of die off and then shift. Diesel stuff's like, nope.
It's like as soon as it shifts, it's going faster. It's like, man, I'm in like 20-inch lifted 2,500 Cummins. How is it doing this? You know?
Yeah, that's crazy. Exactly right. Yep.
Well, this question here leads right into the next question I had was, what events do you have planned for 2024? So Luke is asking about Cletus events, Freedom 500, Bristol 1000. So what do you got going on for the rest of the year for events?
So I think we do still want to attend the Cletus events, at least in some sort of fashion. Obviously, with Side by Side Blog, we had a lot bigger showing because there was a specific burnout side by side. Of course, I don't have that stuff now. So with Race, Rebuild, Repeat, I think it's just kind of getting there and experiencing the events, helping out where we can, and ideally showing up with a burnout truck. In terms of, you know, his races that he does with Crown Vics, you know, I've been in many of them and have done decent. I've gotten second or third pretty much every time I've raced. And I think you can only be bridesmaid for so long, you know, and I'm happy to kind of allow other people to get in there that have bigger names to push that event better than we can. But ideally at some point we'll come back and do some races, maybe get Frank out on the track a little bit.
That's awesome.
What other kind of events? I know somebody here earlier asked about drag and drive events. You doing any more of those this year?
It's so tough. Like, as you guys know, with scheduling, right? And when you have such a YouTube channel in its infancy, it's really difficult to know where to put your money, right? Mm-hmm. So we're only a month in, and it's doing way better than I thought it would. So I don't know exactly what to do. You know, we have a lot of vehicles we could do stuff with. We have a couple side-by-sides. And I think we're just going to kind of gravitate towards what we like. We haven't really scheduled much for the future because the future, honestly, it's unclear what's going to happen with the channel and the future of us. Is this a viable thing? Am I going to have to sell off everything I have to keep it going and eventually be broke? I don't really know. I hope that's not the case, but we're just going to do what we like to do. And in terms of events, we don't really have much scheduled. I know that sounds crazy, but it's tough.
Well, John Paul Franks here says, love to have you come out to Heads Up Hustle, which is the one in Michigan.
Yeah, so, okay, I shouldn't have said all of that because we do have a lot of plans with the Supra that I drive for Don Summerton. So I'm sure, Mike, you were going to lead into that question at some point before we call it a night here. But to catch anyone up that doesn't know, so Don Summerton is the owner of Accelerated Performance in Toledo, Ohio. He's good friends with J-Rod, and anything 2J, his hands have been in it since before it was cool, right? Way before Fast and Furious. And the cars he's built have held records for a long time. And he got out of it a while ago and sort of got back in it when I found out that he had a super badass, like back half Supra. And the option was put out to the entire team that I previously worked with. And no one wanted to drive. And I'm like, I guess I'll do it. And Mike, you know, like I'm tall and I have a long torso. I don't know what happened there with the genetics, but we had to do a lot of modifications for me to fit in that car. And now it's like literally built around me. Like a normal person couldn't reach the gas pedal or steer it properly. So this year it's going to be full on Supra stuff. We'll see what we can do with that. It's been a best of 680 blowing up at the 1,000 foot. So we're hoping for, I don't know, something crazy, 650s maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, that's so fast. And so is that
Yeah.
like a purpose-built car? I mean, that's not a car that's probably gonna do a heads-up hustle drag and drive. That's more of something that's gonna be Texas 2K World Cup final stuff?
Yeah, so we did World Cup final in 2022 and really want to go back. In 23, the timing just didn't work with the team that I was with,
Yep.
and Don had some other things going on too. But this year, we're more laser focused on getting that done. But the car is like specific drag car. Like when you're talking 2J stuff, it's once you get into the sixes and you're on methanol and there's no radiator, like it's
Yeah.
and being a back half car, spooled rear end, giant tires, like it's, not something you're going to have on the street unless you're on Street Outlaws or something. But
Right. I mean, it's crazy to think that like J-Rod said earlier, 180 cubic inches
Yeah.
and then, just sixes is crazy.
yeah, the things that Don does to make that car work is next level. You're talking 3 injectors per cylinder. You're talking a decent shot of nitrous to spool the turbo.
Mhm.
We're in the Warriors First Trace Quarto class at World Cup, so it's like a 94.9 millimeter turbo. And the amount of power you can make with that is insane. North of 2,500 horsepower
That's
out of a
crazy.
small motor.
Yeah, all the RPMs and all of the airflow.
Yeah.
Like we talked with Jerry and Matt Sweet about NA stuff. Everything is important at that level, especially with that small of cubic inches.
Yeah, what's super weird about that car is when something small goes wrong, it's so difficult to trace back what it might have been because when it goes wrong spectacularly. So there was
Yep.
multiple rotating assemblies ruined, and we found out it was because of a spark plug. We thought it was detonating or something was going on, but this I don't want to name the brand in case they're like a sponsor or something, but the specific racing plugs that we were using at the time, the electrodes were loose in the insulator,
Wow.
and that wasn't allowing proper heat transfer back to the insulator, and it was just turning itself into a molten ball of lava, and it looked like it was detonation, but
Yep.
turns out it was just the electrode melting and causing this thing to basically melt itself down almost every run, which is difficult to deal with.
Yeah, that gets expensive quick. Well,
Yeah.
one more time, run through where people can find you and kind of what your schedule is and all that stuff, like for posting.
Sure. Yep. So race, rebuild, repeat on all social media. Have a URL locked in. We don't have a website yet, but we'll get there when it comes time to sell some merch. And in terms of video, I found, through my experience, a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday morning works out well. Tuesdays and Thursdays at night, 6, 7 p.m. somewhere in there. And then Sunday morning, trying to kind of recreate that TNN vibe that we all had back in the day. Just putting out a video Sunday morning for everyone to watch is fun too. So that's what we're shooting for. We're kind of going from the hip on a lot of the video because we don't have a big catalog of content, but
You're creating it in the moment. Dude,
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because then people get used to seeing like what you're working on right now. It's not 3
Yeah.
or 4 months late. Yep.
And it keeps it fresh for you too, which is important.
Yep.
You're not working on something for weeks. You're just working on a single thing that
Yep.
happened yesterday. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Please stay with us. We're gonna close out the show, but we definitely want to let you and Eric talk for a few minutes. I'm sure he's got a ton of questions. But dude, congratulations on all your success. You've
Thanks,
earned
Mike.
every bit of it. I mean, 31,000 subs in what, a month? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
did it hit
crazy.
31,000? Let me check this real quick.
It's got to be really close to that because I know you had crossed 30 sometime in the last couple of days, and it's just been fun watching you guys. Now it's race, rebuild, repeat. Get on there. Get in early. That's what we'll say. Get in early.
Yeah, when that Typhoon giveaway comes, buddy, be ready. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, all right, we're gonna put you backstage and close this thing out.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, dude. What a fun show tonight, man.
It's been a great show. We had two announcements that you hear first, nowhere else. So you've got the
Typhoon giveaway. I mean, dude, listen, you're gonna see me. I'll be wearing some R3 shirts.
Yeah, me too. And then the off-road kind of drag and drive event is going to be pretty sweet too. So yeah, awesome show tonight.
Yeah, we had a good time, guys. Again, want to say thank you so much to everybody. Want to thank our sponsors. Thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you so much for all the support you guys have given us. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains, Howard's Cams, Performa Built, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk, guys. We can't do it without everybody. Just want to say thanks again. And next week, we're going to start diving into some racer stuff with the circuit. That's kind of the plan moving forward. We are under 60 days until this event. I hope folks are wrenching on their stuff. I hope folks that are on the wait list are getting ready. Continue to work on those cars. If you are at home and you're signed up and you're in, don't lay back. You need to keep getting ready. My local track, MoCam, which is the host track of the circuit, opens up this Sunday.
And we
Be a
we'll
great
have
time to
a
get your car out.
yeah, and we'll have a racer, a waitlister spot to give away here coming up soon too, right?
Yep, that's right. On Saturday morning, we are giving away 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We're giving away the Molly Motorsports spot. They were obviously, as part of their package with the sponsorship, they get a free entry. So we're giving away their spot because they're not bringing a race car, but they are talking about bringing bringing their whole setup, like their whole car show and event setup, to come out and hang out for the weekend. So it's really going to be a good time. And this free giveaway is going to a waitlister, which is always a plus.
Yep.
So awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on Saturday morning.
Yep. See you guys.